So welcome to this week's Battle of the Ports as we take a look at Titus's 1992 racer, Lamborghini American Challenge. We'll start with the Atari ST version. It adds a 2-player mode, a few more options and the jazz fusion soundtrack in some versions. Starting out with just the basic Lamborghini and $6,000, your aim is to race to the top of the 4 divisions. In each division there are 20 rival racers, up to 3 of which compete in a race at a time. Each race features lots of local drivers, such as Sunday drivers going at normal speed and police. When the police are in the area, speeding beyond 110 km an hour could see you branded as an offender, at which point the police will try to ram you off the road, HHQ style. You can attempt to reach the end of the race despite this damage, which eventually hampers your speed, or simply pull over and accept the fine and then lose the race points. Power-ups can also be bought along the way, including tyres, radar jammers, engine improvements and nitro boosts. To move up a division you must take a division challenge, a one-off trek through a tough section with a time limit. You buy a set of 3 passes for this, each allowing 1 attempt. But how is the gameplay? Well, it's a bit janky in that all things don't move all that smoothly, but it's not the worst out there. The enemy cars seem to be able to move easier than you can, but it's not overly difficult. Also, due to there being no music while racing, the game can be quite boring. Overall, I'd say on the ST it's a reasonable racer. There's certainly much worse on the system. The next version is for the Amiga, which was released under the Lamborghini American Challenge title rather than Crazy Cars 3. It does lose the intro though that was featured on the Atari ST version. The core game is pretty much the same but now runs much faster, which makes the game look smoother. It even helps with the controls feeling a little sharper. Sadly we still have no music during the races, but what music is here does sound better than that found on the ST version. Coming out 2 years after the base Amiga version came the Amiga CD32 release. Since it had been 2 years since the game was originally released, you'd expect the CD32 version to have a few upgrades. Well, it doesn't. In fact, it's missing a few things, such as being able to rename your character. Also, the game still has no music during races. What is this? It's a game on CD. There's no excuse. Here we have the MS-DOS release, which for all intents and purposes is the same as the Amiga release, but now with one big improvement. The game is now full screen. Besides that, it seems to look the same. apart from the Lambo being yellow. Plays the same and sounds different, but basically the same quality since there's no music during gameplay. Onto the 8-bit home micros. With Titus being a French company, it's no surprise that the Amstrad CPC got a port, but under the name of Crazy Cars 3. In this version you can't select your driver, but you can select your races and still bet. The game looks quite colourful for an Amstrad CPC title. Unfortunately it also moves like a typical Amstrad CPC racer, slow and jerky. I think CPC owners would still have some fun with this title, but if you have access to other systems, best look elsewhere. The Commodore 64 is next, and as you may already know, most into-the-screen racers on the C64 suck, and this is no exception. The C64 just can't do into-the-screen races, it would seem. This resembles an LCD game in how it's laid out and how the cars move towards the screen. There is some interesting tech used within the game though. All the menu systems as well as the HUD in the main game are using the C64 interlace mode to present high resolution images. That at least looks nice, but yeah, as for the main game, give it a miss. Here we go with the only home console port, and it's on the Super Nintendo. This version supports the mouse and Super Scope. When the game is played with either accessory, the player can access a different game mode in which it's possible to destroy the opponents by shooting them. This is a nice little extra, but does it save the game from being dull like the other versions? Well, not really. The game is still quite boring. The graphics, while not looking terrible, do look rather plain compared to the ST, Amiga and DOS versions. Also, just look at the size of the borders. Right on par with the Amiga and ST versions. This is not acceptable on a console game. There are a few nice touches in this game, such as the map now being animated and looking a lot more appealing. Plus we have music during races. Sadly, it's pretty awful for the most part. finish up with the Game Boy release that hit stores in 1994. As far as Game Boy races go, this isn't too bad. The interface is clear, easy to understand, and works well. The actual racing is respectable, but boy, does it sound bad. This is one of those games you may want to play with the audio turned down. And let's take a look at all those versions of Lamborghini American Challenge running side by side.